As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
And I don't know why. I had plenty of time back here. I've been sitting here monkeying around. So we have a tearjerker here. I don't know who could watch that. You guys know what I'm talking about. Savannah, the footage dropped about Savannah, her statements. We got a lot more details. Back doors are open. Did Ashley Banfield save herself? Back door was propped open, not forced entry, but propped open. So we're going to go through the statements of Savannah. We're going to listen to them. We're going to stop because I'm pretty sure all of you guys probably have already seen this played once. So now we're going to go back through it and we're going to stop in certain points to discuss what we are seeing here. If you guys don't know what this case is about, Savannah Guthrie is a Today Show co-host, and her mother, Nancy Guthrie, was ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. What does the back door being open tell us? I don't think it's what we think it is. I still do not believe they came through the back. I could be very wrong with it, but I'm going to present something or perspective to see if it might fit the details of the case just a little bit better. Savannah Guthrie is very distraught about this. You can tell she's trying to hold on to her faith, but very, very, very distraught over her mother. They keep calling it a kidnapping. And there's a few things that we didn't know. And then it perks my curiosity for something else. So let's kind of go ahead and get started. Let's start with video 1. I probably don't even have these up. Oh, good. I do have them up. Let me see if I like myself on the right side just a little bit better. I don't know why. It just feels like I'm out of everybody's way when I'm on this side of the screen. So here we have Savannah Guthrie and Hoda. They're having a discussion. They've been friends for, I think Savannah's been on the show for 8 years or something like that. So they've been pretty good friends since, coming on the show. If you see the lineup of this show, she's the only other female on the show. So I'd have to think that they're equally as busy, but a female would be more inclined to speak with a female about matters of the heart versus a bunch of guys. So just my opinion. I don't know what all their relationship is. All I can tell you is that Hoda's here by herself, not with anybody really else. So good afternoon, guys. Come on in. We do have some breaking news. Savannah breaks her silence. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been trying to hear what happened. Now, granted, this is not Annie. This is not Tommaso. This is not Cameron. This is Savannah. But it's heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching. And I think she blames herself, and it's quite sad. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. We're going to be stopping every few minutes just to discuss what we're hearing here and what it could mean.
Weekend for you. Yeah. The weekend your mom went.
Hold on. Let's start.
Take me back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you. Yeah. The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, we just, Mike, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis, and so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together. And
I don't know what Carson's is. Does anybody know what Carson's is? Let's see what Carson's is. Carson's, New York. Is this it? Carson's Woodside Tavern. Does that sound about right in New York? There's an echo. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let's find out what the echo is. I think I know what the echo is. It's probably the Bluetooth is on instead of the, that's it. Okay. Sorry, guys. Thanks for letting me know. We are fixing the problem now. We are fixing the problem now. Okay. We have it fixed. We should have it fixed. Let me play it. Let's go back. So I don't know what Carson's is. Does anybody know what Carson's is?
You. Yeah. The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
well, Mike, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis, and so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful,
Thank you.
fun night together, and then I came home, and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home, and we were just saying.
Thank you guys for letting me know there was an echo. I reset the sound because as we were going into the intro, I didn't have sound. So instead of doing what we always do, which is stop the show, shut down the program, wait 10 minutes for me to come back up, I kind of found a workaround, but it's resetting my sound system instead of the computer system. It comes up a lot quicker. And so sometimes when I do that, it switches it from doing through the USB to Bluetooth, and it gives it that echo. So I was able to fix that, and it should be gone now. So yeah, this video did absolutely break my heart, but there's some stuff here. So we're learning that the Carson's is a pizza joint. So if you guys missed it, she gave her husband a gift over Christmas for a guy's weekend out for tennis, and he went to tennis this particular weekend. She had her children. They went to a pizza joint. They were all kind of coming back in about the same time when she was getting the phone call from her sister. So we have to think she's in New York, her sister's in Arizona. So you're talking about a major time difference here of almost 2 hours, a 2-hour time difference, maybe a 3-hour time difference. I don't think they have daylight savings time. So there might be this big, I don't know what the time difference was, but you got to think that if this was happening at 11, or at noon in Arizona, Eastern time, I think, is 2 to 3 hours. So you're talking about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon for Miss Savannah here.
Hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" Mm-hmm. And she said, "No." She said, Mom's missing. And I said, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? She said, she's gone. And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here. And we thought.
So we do know that she did not call her sister until after law enforcement arrived. And that's typically what we want to see. In my opinion, that's when law enforcement gets there. They get there. They're freaking out. They're, shock kind of sets in a little bit, especially if you're calling law enforcement and calling hospitals and other things. We don't want to see them calling immediately people. Like in Sebastian Rogers' case, it was suspect. He calls Seth before he calls law enforcement. That's always suspect. Here, law enforcement was already there before they thought to reach out to the sister, or they just didn't have time to reach out to the sister because she's going to explain that, they thought maybe the medical people were there. So let's listen to this, and then we're going to further discuss.
Thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come.
Hey, Pebbles.
Because the back doors were propped open.
Right there.
And that.
Okay. We're going to have to, she's an attorney. I know that her mind's a little foggy with everything going on, even as an attorney. Smart people can be very, very foggy when they're subjected to a lot of stresses. I would absolutely believe she is. Look who it is. Peas in a pod. It's nice to see you, love bug. 2-hour difference, February 1st, but church isn't at 1 in New York, so 11 makes sense for Nancy. Online church at 11. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of assuming. I don't know when the church started. We just know that Nancy was not with her friends. Some of the women, someone called the family, and propped open. Exactly, YouTuber. We're gonna have to dive into this because this is getting a little interesting. We need to try to decipher. And she doesn't. And it sounds like both. Let's listen to this. Something's not right here. This is even more suspect than I would like to admit. This almost. I will tell you, I think for a while, everybody just needs to leave Tommaso alone. That's just my personal opinion. There's nothing's really has changed that puts Tommaso on this line sight of us just yet. I'm not quite comfortable with some things, but I think for the purposes of all this, I think Tommaso needs to go on the back burner for a lot of us so we can think about other things. That's what I really think, because this is starting to just be all around, different. So let's listen to what's being said here. Let me just go back another 5 seconds just to be on the safe side.
Panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here.
Okay, so we now know by the time does anybody know how to make notes and type them? Because we need to probably make this. This is the most information we've had about this day. Even though it's not from the actual people that were there, we'll take what we kept, okay? So we've got Annie and Tommaso, Annie, calling Savannah, telling her about her mother, okay? So, and cops are already there. The cops are already at the property when she calls her mother. Let's listen.
And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open.
She says back doors, plural. Propped open. So I just want to make sure that we now have corroborating information to finally corroborate something Ashley Banfield said from her super secret source. Okay, so there you go. We were able to corroborate that it looks like the back doors were open. But they weren't just open. According to her, propped open. Thought a stretcher. Marks in the driveway. Looks like a stretcher. Yep. Could be something along those lines. Something along those lines. And we've been talking about some of these lines and stuff like that we've been seeing. So is this where they went, and it might not be a stretcher, but it could the back doors. Listen, I think the path of least resistance is going through the sliding glass doors as entry. So now we got to figure out why the back doors were open. And now this brings back into those back lights in the back thing. Were they destroyed before or after entry into the home? Because here's my theory. My theory has now changed slightly. I think that the person did not come with an item to remove Nancy. If you know anything about an unconscious person of any type, it is dead weight. It is very, very difficult to move. Some people have the ability to move. Some people do not. Okay? It's much more difficult than you might think. With that being said, is it possible they went out to get something from the storage unit or the garage to move Nancy? Is that why those back doors would have been propped open? Because they would not be doing their fumbling around on the front side of the house like they originally did. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. This case, every time we hear new information about this case, I can promise you, my brain is like, it's in shock, because nothing freaking makes sense. The more information we get, the less the stuff that we had, percolating in our brain cells of ideas of what truly happened, they start changing. And now we have this situation where we're trying to figure out what happened. And now we have two back doors open. Dano's talking about a sliding glass door. Nobody talking about the front door, unless the front door was also popped open. But she's only referring to the back side of the house. How many doors were open? An ambulance before we knew about the case. An ambulance before we knew about the case. I don't know what that means. This is bizarre. What is going on? Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. No, this is insanity. This is insanity. Usually when we get more information, we can hone in on what we think has transpired, what we think is going on. Here, we get more information, and we're just like, well, what the hell does this mean now? Like, what the hell is going on in this case? We don't know. Maybe a pool lounge chair having back wheels? Interesting. An ambulance. An ambulance before we knew about this case. White van. Why the perp leave the back doors open and lock the front door? I don't think the front door was locked. How could they lock the front door unless they had a key? I don't know. They should check for blood inside those. We did have images of them searching. They looked like they weren't doing it because they knew they had the drone up in the air watching them. But you saw the detective, the FBI agent, peek in the garbage can. I don't know what they know. Obviously, more is going on inside that house than they would like to tell us, which, obviously goes to the integrity of the investigation. So now we have, Nano's talking about, we have to keep saying Nano's talking about not leaving sliding glass doors open, because that's what took me to my theory that this assailant probably made entry through those sliding glass doors. Those are on the front of the house, only merely feet away from where the assailant was at the front door, the masked gunman. And now we're hearing details from Savannah Guthrie herself about the back doors, plural, back doors with an S, propped, not left open, propped open. When I think of something being propped open, I usually prop open a door when I'm not going to have hands to reopen the door again. So what were they moving inside and outside of that home to have the back doors propped open? My head is spinning too, Robin. Don't feel bad. She also doesn't talk about the blood inside the home. It goes to the integrity of the investigation. And I'd have to think, she's not going to divulge, her being an attorney, she's well-versed in this. She's well-versed, in my opinion, in what to do with all of this and how to handle herself in all of this. So she's going to give you a snippet, but she's not going to give you the meat and potatoes, okay? She's going to give you the sizzle, but not the steak. And it's not because she wants to dangle a carrot. It's because she knows that this does matter in these cases. You've got to keep some things confidential. And moreover, we also know that law enforcement stops working with you when private information and details are distributed to the public. These are things that are a little known. I don't see where they're overly integral to the case itself. However, the two doors being propped open, that would be a detail that nobody really knew about. But I think because Ashley Banfield already has some person out, and she addresses that. No matter what, she's predominantly talking about Ashley Banfield. And we heard that she was upset with Ashley Banfield for accusing her brother-in-law so publicly. And she comes to his defense. And in all fairness, I know people are skeptical, even the deception detective, but in my opinion, the reason why I've never looked at, let's be honest, we have looked at Tommaso, but one of the reasons why I haven't believed he's a part of this is because I asked a very simple question that nobody could really answer except with speculative. There's no fact behind it. And the question that I pose to everybody is, why now? Why now? After all of these years, you got to understand, Annie and Tommaso have been taking care of their mother for almost 2 decades. Not to the point where they have to take care of her like they have to now, because she's much older than she was 2 decades ago. But they've been taking care of their mother for almost 20 years. So the question is posed is, why now? Why now? It sounds like mom is very frail. It sounds like mom's got a pacemaker. She has medication that is keeping her alive. She has already surpassed the age limit of the majority of women in this country. So, you are looking at, in just a few more years, they're going to be dealing with some stuff like that, private medical transportation. Is it somebody in the medical field? Potentially. But that nobody could ever really answer me, like, why now? Why after 2 decades are they now going to be and it's, they have financial problems, and it's like, they just purchased a house. I mean, how bad could their financial problems be to purchase a house? Half of the people in my chat can't even purchase a house. So you know what I'm saying? So how bad can their financial problems be to go through all of that? So there's a lot of thought about it. Yeah. I mean, if they did have financial problems, yeah, that would be a motivation, but we can't produce anything that proves it, just speculative. And that's not good enough. It's just not good enough. For me, it's not good enough. And it shouldn't be good enough for you. We should have something at this point, this far in. We're crossing over 54 days, so we're getting close to the 60-day mark, and we don't have not one receipt to support that theory that they're having financial problems or that there is a gambling debt. We don't have text messages. We don't have statements online. We've got nothing. Almost 60 days in, with all the web sleuths in this case. I find that really problematic. Doesn't everybody else? I mean, we've got a lot of web sleuths covering this case, real, like, deep dive, know how to use frickin' the dark web to locate their crap, you know? Like real sleuths. And nobody's been able to produce one legitimate document to support or even have the appearance of a financial problem. That's kind of, maybe something changed in the will. Again, I get that. And there's the probability. Unfortunately, we're never going to know that. You know who's going to know that? Savannah and her family. You know who else is going to know that? Most likely law enforcement. But we're not going to know it until somebody is in jail. But don't you think, Faye, if it was something like a change in the will, that they would probably have at least enough probable cause? You got to remember, probable cause is the lowest possible barrier. It's the lowest threshold to meet. Like anybody can come up with probable cause for an arrest. And so you're telling me that they can't find probable cause that let's say, for example, Tommaso and Annie were just cut out of the will, 3 months ago, and lo and behold, mom's gone, 3 months later. I mean, I would think that would be pretty strong circumstantial evidence, along with them being the last person to see them, to definitely charge them with something. There could be changes in the will. And I get that. I get that. And this does feel a little bit like money. But there are some other things that have perked my curiosity with Savannah and some of her statements. Let's listen.
And that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there.
So I think those marks that we saw was drag marks of some sort, wheel marks of them taking her out. Who was cut out of the will? No, but nobody was. They were saying maybe somebody was cut out of the will. It was posed as a question, not a statement. Actually feel bad for Annie. Apparently she's been a very good, yeah, she has been. And that's, I had nothing to show you, but everything that I was reading, everything that I had researched, but some of the stuff I just can't show you guys. Well, one, I can't show you guys on here because it has sensitive information on it. Two, it's because I don't like everybody knowing how I derive information and how I do my stuff behind the scenes. That's kind of what we do here on this show. Not that everybody kind of has their own, even if we use some of the same stuff, they have their own way of doing things. So long story short is I don't like showing everything, but everything that I was seeing, and you guys have been hearing me talk about it, her daughter, her Annie, has been the one that's been left behind taking care of her mom for all of these years. I'm glad that some of this stuff is coming out, because it does show you guys, even when I can't show you what I'm doing, it does show you guys that I am looking into certain aspects of the family to identify what's going on kind of behind the scenes. And this is one of those things where we discussed this very, very early on in this case, about how involved Annie and Tommaso are with, the mom, the Nancy. And that's the problem, is because everybody is looking, because people don't know them and they don't know their family dynamics. So it's very easy for us to look at somebody and create a monster, right? Because we don't know them. When you hear about how they've always taken care of the mother in such great care and is there almost daily to make sure that she's getting her medication, make sure her house is clean, make sure she's getting food, bringing her over for, game night, and just really keeping her active and involved. Like, those things are very sweet and enduring. And that's why when I posed the question of why now, nobody could ever answer that. And when they did, it was all speculation. So I really hope that people slow down. Thank you very much. Lori Daybell took years to be a trial for unaliving her one husband right after he changed his will and took her out. But how did that go, though? See, I remember the Daybell case, the cult mom, but I forget the fine details about that. But I thought the reason why it took years is because they didn't know he was dead, or they didn't have his body, or is that just her kids? Just so we can see that. We love our beach being her. Oh, thank you, Maury. I appreciate that. So let's keep going. Let's hear what else we have. We got a lot to unpack, and I got to tell you, this. I'm glad I was not live when this went on, because I think I can collect myself, because I was crying. There was parts of this, and I just feel my heart just hurts for Savannah and her family. It really just hurts.
And all her things, and it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm gonna call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos and disbelief.
Within hours, Savannah was making the long journey home to Tucson.
You saw Annie and Cam when you got to their house. Tell me about that moment.
Just disbelief and hugging each other, and I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying this isn't that case that you are used to, where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. Mm-hmm. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Yeah. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not.
So you're talking about majorly limited mobility. A woman that is frail, a woman that has heart problems, a woman that needs medication to survive, to live, life-sustaining medication. But we do get a little tidbit that makes me feel uncomfortable, much like the Sebastian Rogers case.
So there was no wander off.
There was no wander off.
And the doors were propped open.
Yeah.
Doors were propped open.
And there was blood on the front doorstep. She refused. Did you guys notice how she's not discussing anything behind the walls? She is what you would refer to as, someone that's not blabbing everything that they know about the case. Does she know what's on the other side of that door? I believe she does. And I believe she is very, very careful in every detail that she allows to be spoken. Now, I don't know if she worked with law enforcement for this, or if she's just doing this on her own, and just, because she's done this for so many years, she knows what to do. Where is, you get that clip? Are you talking? This is from, you can see right up there where I get the clip. It's the Today Show. The Today Show is the only one that's speaking with NBC. The only one speaking with Savannah. The sheriff in Savannah. So pretty much the entire case is being broadcasted through some of the details that NBC is acquiring. So that's where we're at. And the Ring camera had been yanked off.
Yeah.
And so we were saying, this is...
Do something.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we got blood at the front door, camera ripped off. These are everything that we know to be true right now, right? We know this to be true. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not getting into it because I don't want to, I don't want to be the part of whatever. I'm just glad we're getting some information. That's the way I kind of look at it. Well, let's just look at the positive side of things. There's enough people complaining online about everything else, and we're covering some of the stuff that people are saying online, but I don't know. I feel bad for this whole situation, and they've got a sheriff that's under massive scrutiny right now, and he has blocked every single news organization out. I just think he can't block NBC out because it's Savannah's, a news organization. Like, she's a victim, and so I think that's really the only reason why those communications are still ongoing. I truly believe if Savannah didn't work for NBC, he would have shut NBC down too. He ain't talking to nobody. I mean, he looks like a douchebag, to be honest with you. He looks like a liar. He looks like a scammer. He looks like a fraudster. He looks like he should be in jail. And here he is running a freaking county into a ground and putting people's lives in danger because he doesn't know what heck he's doing. He wanted the retirement and the car and the money, not the protecting of the residents. He has done a bang-up job at protecting the residents. Good gracious.
This isn't... Something is very wrong here.
Yes. Did you guys talk about what possibly could have happened?
Cody.
Like, what could have happened? What went down? Did you...
I think my brother... I mean, my siblings are so amazing. My brother, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and is a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was. Yeah. And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so, like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me?
That's got to be awful. That has got to be gut-wrenching to think that you could have anything to do with why your parent is hurt or injured. Just like any parent doesn't want to think that something they did could injure their child, right? That's got to be one of the worst feelings in the whole world. I mean, look at the pain in this woman's face and eyes. That is true pain and agony right there. Okay, thinking that she could have hurt her mother unintentionally just because of who she is and the job that she has. But we have seen crazier things in this country. I mean, look at Luigi Mangione. He gunned down a father, a man that's done nothing wrong, just because of where he worked and who he was. So does this type of stuff happen? Yeah, it does. What's coming next is fairly interesting, and a detail that I think is something we didn't know. I think that this is something we didn't know, and it makes me question something else. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. We're going to stop, and then we're going to have a few conversations. Probably I might even do a poll just to get an idea and gauge the audience. So this part's going to be, this part is a little problematic for me.
And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did?
I hope not. I mean, we still don't know. Mm-hmm. Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything.
Wow.
So,
I don't know. They're speculating too.
That it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside. That it's because of me.
That's got to be hard. That's got to be hard. That's got to be so blessed hard.
Say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother. and my kids and my nephew and Tommy.
The whole weight of the world on her shoulders.
My brother-in-law. I'm like so sorry. I'm so sorry.
She does.
If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
This is so hard.
We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
In the initial days, you and your sister and brother sat together. In all the despair, you sat and managed to think of words to say. How were you able to do that in that moment?
Well, my siblings are amazing. And we are a unit. And I talked about how brilliant my brother is, but my sister is equally brilliant and also has special powers of intuition and faith and language and depth and heart. And I feel like we came together with all these beautiful gifts that came from our mom and dad and from God. And somehow together we did our best to come up with the words to say. And I haven't posted one thing or said one thing that the three of us haven't decided together. It is surreal. It's
Me too. YouTuber.
how is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the...
So let's just back this up. We'll go 10 seconds. So as you guys see, they're all in on this kidnapping ransom. The Guthrie family believes this was a kidnapping ransom. And there might actually be something that might support that we did not learn about. So there was a lot of things because the news organizations as well as TMZ received these weird ransom notes. We know TMZ kept getting them one after another, after another, after another. It just started becoming like, we're over it, right? Just stop. And every time they brought another one up, another crackpot would write in. I mean, they really milked it. It really pissed me off, I will be honest with you. It was like when somebody came in here and said, oh, they got a ransom. I was like, who gives a shit at this point? I don't believe that the ransom note is legitimate. I'm not wasting my time with it. That's how you stop that kind of crap. You just don't waste your time with it. And so now it's like, I don't know. I never thought that the ransom notes were legitimate, but because we never thought any of them went to the family. We thought that they were to the news organizations, and we knew that there was one person that was the fake ransom that was arrested in LA, that Kalela guy. He was the fakester, and he reached out to Annie and Tommaso directly, or however the heck he did that. But we're about to learn some bombshell information in just a few moments.
To a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas. With no shoes.
No shoes. No shoes. Who else disappeared in the middle of the night with no shoes? Huh? Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. A kid that's autistic that would never leave the house without socks and shoes. Disappeared in the dead of night without shoes.
In the dead of night. In her pajamas. With no shoes. Without her medicine. This little person. And to beg for mercy.
In the days that followed, multiple notes demanding payment were sent to various media outlets.
The ransom notes or ransom requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real, and I didn't see them.
Okay. So most of the ransom notes were not real. She didn't see those. She has no clue. Beg for mercy, begging for mercy. That's an interesting statement, too. We're going to have to go back to that. We're going to listen to this for a couple days because it's going to take us a little bit to pick this apart because that's what we do.
But, you know, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
So she's acknowledging lots and lots of fake ransom notes. I mean, I think 1 is lots and lots. 2, lots and lots. 3, exceptionally too much.
To a family in pain. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to.
Boom. Boom, that we received. The ransom notes, the 2. Hey, Sydney, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard, folks. Are you hearing this? The 2 ransom notes they received. This is... Why is this thing not up? This is pissing me off. Good gracious. Where are my buttons? Well, it's a day late and $1 short for the buttons today. Why are these buttons not working? Jesus. Excuse my language. Excuse my language. Everything's sticking. Oh, no. Day late and $1 short. That sucked. So, 2 ransom notes they've received, they believe are legitimate. This, to me, is the most interesting at all because one of our theories didn't develop because we didn't believe any of the ransoms could be legitimate. I still have issues with the ransom notes. Doesn't make sense. Don't make sense. I agree with you, Lady for Justice. I agree with you. It doesn't make sense to me either. Because we know that ransom is very rare. I mean, this person has to be smoking crack. You guys get it. To think that this is going to work out. You know? So it just doesn't make sense to me unless this person is just an idiot junkie. So, you know, that's just all there is. That's just how I feel about it. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel about it. So let's listen. Two ransom notes they received.
Those are real.
Really?
She believes they're real. But she doesn't say why.
When the Ring camera video surfaced and you could see who that person was, just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother. I
mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up. I think when we all saw it, I think every one of us, in my opinion, every one of us felt terrified. When we saw that, I actually think that's the word we used. This is one of the it's terrifying, it's scary, it's the bumps in the night, you know, it's all of that. It's all of that creep. And this is just creep. Seeing him on that camera creeped us out. It made us all feel safe across this country. Like people that this wasn't even going on. This is in Arizona, here in Florida. I can tell you, this made me change some behaviors.
It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
That's going to be awful.
I can't. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. To, I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
So now she's talking about Tommaso and, of course, Ashley Banfield. She is very, very upset with Ashley Banfield. Again, I think at the time, Tommaso being the last person to see Nancy Guthrie alive, I think that put him right in the line shot of being a person of interest, until he's cleared. I think she expected favoritism from the people in the business not to accuse her family member, even though we know the statistics. We're in the business. We've been doing this for a while, and we know more times than not, it's specifically somebody in the family. So I don't think we were too far off. And I don't blame anybody for looking at Tommaso. I know that her, and it being her family, naturally she would take offense to it. And every family would, in all fairness, because we don't know the family and we're strangers learning about this case, Is it too far-fetched to look at a brother-in-law that was seen with the mother-in-law? No, it's not. It's not too far-fetched. I feel bad for her, but I don't think people should be shamed. However, I keep going back, I always try to put myself in this situation. What would I do? If I had information that said, somebody tells me that Tommaso is being looked at, would I keep that to myself in my reporting? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. I would probably go up and talk about the source that I have and what information they have, and make sure everybody knows that is a possibility. It's not conclusive. It's not fact. I'd go out of my way to make sure they knew that. But would I make a statement like Tommaso is being looked at by law enforcement? And my answer is yes. Yes, I would. So I can't criticize somebody else for doing something that I would do, whether you guys agree with it or not. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just telling you how would I do something like this, and whether you like it or not, the answer is yes, I would. So how can I fault another person for doing what I would do? You can't. That's hypocritical.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers.
I will tell you, looking at her, this is just my personal observation, nothing to support it. Maybe you guys understand it. Maybe you guys agree with it. Maybe you don't. I believe she's in full denial that anybody in her family, that anybody that's been at that house, had anything to do with this. But I've always been taught, a long time ago, when you kind of have a quagmire, one of the most important questions to ask a family is, who is the least likely? Who's the least likely? Who's the least likely to, in your mind, who is the least likely to do this? And that ended up panning out to being who ultimately did the crime. Several times I've been told that. Several times. So sometimes you have to pose the question a little bit differently, because truth is stranger than fiction. There was something that brought this person to the house. We have an element that's much different than any other case we cover. In any other case we cover, we do not have a famous person involved. That changes things a lot. Okay? It really does. Because in many other cases, you don't have the crackpot theory. Okay? A freaking crackpot that's obsessed with a famous person. Okay? That is an animal that we don't know about because we've never covered it. We have no experience dealing with it. We have nothing to think outside of the box because when we're ignorant about a subject matter, we're just ignorant about a subject matter. But we have to remember that Savannah is famous. She's very, very well known. But she's not controversial in my opinion. None of these people granted, they might have things I disagree with, but in my opinion, they're not controversial. And I have to think that there's richer people in Tucson than Nancy Guthrie or Savannah Guthrie. So that's why I feel in my personal heart of hearts, maybe it's a factor that Savannah is the daughter. Maybe that is exactly why this person targeted this woman. But at the end of the day, there's just something in the back of my mind and in my gut that's telling me this most likely will have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with Savannah. But I also didn't believe the back doors were open, but the back doors are propped open. Multiple doors apparently were propped open, not just one, but it's she said plural, propped open, back doors with an S, propped open. And we've got those wheels, and it makes me feel like somebody went out and got something from around the house to transport Nancy out of the house with. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't think that they broke in through the back doors, even though the back doors would have, from everything that we know, the house is left unlocked. Maybe not the front door, but, the sliding glass doors, the back doors are all left unlocked, it sounds like. So anybody could have gotten into that one little patio area where the sliders are and got into the house. Somebody could have jumped over the fence in the back and got into the house. So either way you look at it, we don't know the condition of those sliding glass doors. Were those open or were those closed? We do know the back doors are now officially propped open and open. And those back doors, which is still a little weird because you would think an ambulance would take the person out the front door. Why they thought the ambulance would come around to the back door to wheel the mom out, I'd have to think that I just don't understand the logic of why they think that. And did they go out the front door and realize it was going to be too complicated and go back in it and then go and find something to drag her out the back and around the house? I've just got so many more questions with these doors being open than I had before. So let's just go back, we're going to go back 15 seconds, listen to what it has. Yeah. And we'll move on.
What came to our door?
Yeah. When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
Might be her walker.
And it piles pain upon pain. There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother. And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
Savannah and her family stayed together in Arizona for weeks as the media coverage grew more intense.
We had to move houses many times because people came, and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately.
She's been in business and media for a really, really long time. She knows the gamut. Why she would expect anything for her that other people don't get. Again, she should know. She should know better. And I'm glad she didn't crucify people. I mean, she's being very ginger, very sincere. You know, a lot of news organizations don't know what it's like until they go through it themselves, you know? But she works for NBC. They used to step on toes all the time.
Leave in the dark in the desert, holding hands, me and my sister and brother and I, get into a car waiting for us because the people outside were closing in. So
people outside were closing in. I don't even know what that means. That people knew where they were and they were just starting to formulate outside. They could have just closed the blinds. I mean, I get it though. She doesn't know who did this, and nobody knows if one of those people outside are the person that did this. So I kind of understand their apprehension all the same as well, because somebody is probably relishing in their misery if they had the ability to do this.
We found a place that was safe, and then we couldn't really leave too much. So, like, those days are a blur.
Yeah.
Crying and praying.
How did your family feel about the way the investigation was conducted?
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people have worked tirelessly. And we see that. But we need answers.
So basically, in my opinion, what she's saying here is she doesn't want to be critical of the men and women that have worked their ass off. But you can tell her apprehension on saying anything about the sheriff and the fact that, you know, I appreciate everybody's hard work, but we need answers. So we got to get some answers here. So I think that was pretty strong, but she would not dog Nanos, which you can kind of see it in her face. She's not very happy, as many of you would assume.
We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And our hearts are focused on that.
I think where Savannah ended that, it's not too late to do the right thing.
Yeah, so that's kind of the ending to that. Everybody's opinions on that. And then we have this second part. They did release the second part. This kind of goes over the decision to leave, more so Arizona. She does pick up a little bit of information, but I think we got a lot of new leads and new details out of the first interview. Still very concerning. There was no mention of the sliding glass doors. There was no mention of how she believes the assailant got into the house. There was no mention of any type of blood inside the interior of the home. Only that she didn't say two back doors. She said back doors, plural, were propped open. And that because they were propped open, they believed that there was an ambulance there that had gotten their mom because of a medical event. That's what they originally thought had happened. After calling all the hospitals, they realized very quickly she's not there. They don't know where their mother is. Back doors are ajar. Blood out the front door. So they have a crime scene. Again, not talking about what happened inside the home. No blood drops did she refer to inside the home. There was nothing. All she did, two new elements that we've learned about in this broadcast. Her mom was abducted with only her nightgown on and not even a pair of shoes. So how can a feeble woman that has mobility issues walk without shoes? That's number one, especially in the Arizona desert. That would be very, very, very painful. Her driveway doesn't seem like it's the most comfortable place to walk barefooted, does it? So she left the house barefoot. Then the other breaking news information that we learned from this is that the 2 back doors were propped open. I'm saying 2 back doors. She didn't say 2 back doors. She said back doors, plural, were propped open. I believe there's only 2 back doors. And if there are 2 back doors, then those have been propped open. Were they doors into the house, or were they the garage or that storage unit door and one of the exterior doors to the house? But she said the 2 back doors, or the back doors, were propped open. Not one of the back doors were propped open or a back door propped open. She said back doors, plural, propped open. I don't think that that was a miscommunication. So I believe what we have now is back doors propped open. What do you think that means? Go. Throw what you think that means in the chat. What does those 2 back doors being propped open, or the back doors being propped open, mean to you? Do you believe it was an entry point, that they came in through those doors? Do you think they went out the doors to find something outside in the backyard to help aid them in whatever they were doing? Are we sure that there was something that was out in the security room, or in the if they went to the backyard? How do we know they didn't go into the guest house? How do we know they didn't go into the storage unit? And how do we know they didn't go into the garage? And if they went into those places, what could they have possibly taken away from those places? Was there anything of value in that addition, that guest house? Was there anything of value in the guest house? Like, what were these people there for? If they were not there to attack Savannah, by way of her mom, then what are they there for? And what do you think about the 2 ransom notes that the family did receive? They said they did not know about the ransom notes. They heard about the ransom notes to the news organizations, but never saw them. But the 2 that Savannah and her family received and responded to, they believe were legitimate ransom notes. Another bombshell information. So three things we learned. Mom was ripped out of her bed and forced out of the house without any shoes. Back doors propped open. Back doors being plural, propped open. And then the ransom notes. 2 ransom notes. Potentially being legitimate, directly to the family. The first time we knew that the family received communications directly, it sounds like. All right, now we're on part 2. Part 2 is not as long, but we are going to get to this part.
Mama always in the present tense.
Yeah. I mean, she is present tense to me.
Do you feel her, or have you heard her any moments?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell me about your mommy. Just tell me about her.
My mom she's incredible. She's resolute and strong. Quiet strength, quiet faith, but hard fought. She's funny and a little
We'll have to look at the backyard.
In her humor. She's a noble creature. She does what's right. She walks in faith, but not a fake, pious, put on faith, but like a grounded, earthy, she fought for it, faith.
When you posted Please Pray in the beginning, the ocean of love and prayers, did you feel that? Did you sense what was happening?
I do feel prayers, you know, I do. I believe that. I think she would have been just amazed. Just truly amazed.
I think it's
One of the images
terminology.
that stayed with me through all of this.
Riley, I think it's terminology. Pajamas, nightgown, I think those are interchangeable. I wouldn't balk at either one of those. I would make them, you know what I'm saying? Like, people just say different things, but they still mean the same thing. Nightgown, pajamas, I think we're splitting hairs, personally, because it really does depend on who's saying it.
Was you and Annie. One of
Just
the
my
images that
opinion.
stayed with me through all of this was you and Annie and Tommaso walking up and looking at the flowers and at the notes. As I saw that, I thought, oh, I wonder if Savannah's going inside, and what that must have felt like for you to go inside of your mom's, your childhood home, your mom's house.
Yeah, I mean, this is the house that we grew up in. It's really the only house I've ever known and remember.
Wow.
So we moved there when I was about 4,
Look
I
at them
think.
running around the pool.
It's the house where I came home on a Friday night at 16, and my mom and sister were on the couch praying and told me that my father had died. It's the house where all of our memories are, good and bad. So it's hallowed ground. My mom loved and treasured that house. In good years and lean years, they were able to hold on to that house. That's my mom's safe haven. It was really hard to see that violated, and the terror that she must have felt is unbearable. It's unbearable.
Tell me, while you were spending all this time in Tucson, your kids were home, what do they know?
That's interesting. Like, what do you tell the kids? And I'm just going to forewarn you, she doesn't say it, but she dances around with it. But it sounds like they've already told all their children Grandma's gone. That's what it sounds like to me, because they don't know how to handle it. You know, I think in their heart of hearts, it sounds to me like Savannah understands that her mom most likely couldn't make this. I mean, we're coming up to 2 months. Nobody has any clue where her mom is at this moment. That's got to be unnerving. And we still don't know why. Will we ever know why?
Well, it's so hard with kids because, you know, you want to protect them. Vale would write me all the time, Mama, any leads? Any leads? Do you hear anything? You know, any hope? And I think that, you know, we tried to talk to them and try to give them a little more certainty.
See, the certainty.
Than we have.
So they just basically told them Grandma's gone.
Grieve.
Yeah.
And for my little nephew Olmo too, you know, there's just a way in which this is even so much harder on Annie and Tommy and Olmo because they're there.
They're there, yeah.
And they were there every day for my mom.
Every day. Again, I would have gotten on board with Tommaso and Annie if people could answer my question, and nobody could. Why now? Why now would they go after their mother and / mother-in-law? Why now? They've been there every day for this woman. Why now? They fought to make sure she lived and had, you know, and sustained life and had her independence. So again, why now?
they made it possible for her to stay in the house we grew up in that she loved so much. I think she always stayed in that house because I think she still felt my father there. All our memories. You know, let her have her space. And it's just a way in which this is just even more excruciating for them and all that they've been through.
I think it's more excruciating for them is because we all know last year and the end of last year, you know, there were some things going on. And I think it was because the mom was having limited mobility. And I truly think that they were trying to find ways to keep, you know, it seemed like mom did not want to live with anybody. So I'm sure the family wanted her to live with them. And she did not want to live with them because she wanted her independence. So they reconstructed their lifestyles to make sure that their mom had an independent lifestyle up until this point. So who is this masked gunman? Did he act alone or did he act in concert with somebody else? Could he be an electrician? We believe it could be somebody like that. That's for sure.
I know it was a hard decision for you, and I know you told me about this, was coming back here, leaving Arizona to come back to New York. Why was that so difficult, that choice?
I looked out the window of the airplane and just thought, where are you?
Yeah.
That desert, that beautiful desert that she loves. Where are you?
Yeah.
How could I leave you? But my mom taught me a lot about grief. Our family knows grief. My father passed when I was 16 years old. He was only 49. It was a shock.
49 years old. That had to have been hard. That had to have been real hard.
And I remember my mom saying in those early days when Daddy died, like, you have to get up and decide and do. Just decide and do. And I'd read that in a book that meant a lot to her and her grief. And so I always remember that. So I'm trying to decide and do. Just get up and decide and do every day. You know, I've felt terrible grief, and I felt unfathomable love and comfort. The goodness and kindness of God is remarkable.
It's hard, aristocrat. It's hard because at the end of the day, you know, my mom wants her independence. You know, what do? You know, sometimes you've got to make do with what you got.
And in equal measure to my sorrow.
Wow.
She showed us how to survive the unimaginable. When she lost my dad, she was 46 years old. She had 3 kids. She had never worked outside the home. She had to get up. She had to find a job. She had to mother 2 teenagers and 1 young adult just starting making his way into the world. She took care of her mother, her brother, who had Down syndrome. She invited to come live with us. She worked part-time to make ends kind of meet. She found a way, another job, a job she turned into a full-time job, a job she turned into a career. She had a second life of purpose and meaning. She had 1 million friends. She stayed.
Her mom sounds lovely. You know, you kind of see why the family was so tight knit. They had one thing you find is that a family that struggles a lot and depends on each other, they're very tight. You very hardly ever have really rock the boat issues and dynamics like that. I mean, you do. I shouldn't, I don't want to paint with such a broad brush, but at the end of the day, this family has been through its struggles, and they only had each other to lean on. I just don't see anybody breaking that structure, because that's how they thrive.
It's strong for us. She was resolute.
Mm-hmm.
She was real. She grieved. I remember moments in my childhood and those days after my dad died. She was so strong. But some mornings, before dawn, when she thought we were still sleeping, I would hear her crying at my door. To not be alone in her grief. So she taught me to be strong, but she taught me to be true. My faith is strong and resolute, but I, early on, felt that I heard, for one of the very few times in my life, I did hear God speak to me. As I said to myself, I can handle anything, God. I can handle anything. I just can't handle not knowing. We can't handle not knowing.
Yeah.
I have to know. And I heard a voice. And it said, you do know where she is. She's with me. She's with me. So whether she is on this earth still, or whether she is in heaven, I know where she is. I know who she's with. But we need to know.
So, there you go. Lots of emotion there. Oops, let me get back here. There we go. Lots of emotion here. Difficulty. Hard. Right? These are all the words that describe what she said. We didn't get as much detailed information, about the case in the second part. It was more about her mom. It was more about their struggles. But I think it identified why their family is so strong and why it's so hard for them to believe anybody, at least in their immediate family, would have anything to do with this. I don't believe. Even more that I hear about this, it doesn't make me think that Tommaso and Annie are more involved. It actually makes me feel like that we were right not, talking about it, but not going too deep into it. Hey, B. Betty, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well, love. So, heck, when I came back from Georgia, Mama wouldn't even let me live with her, and I was coming to help her. Mama likes this. Yeah, she people do not like feeling like a burden, because you got to remember, these are our parents, okay? They take care of us. We don't take care of them. That's their mentality, right? They take care of us. We don't take care of them. And that's the way it always is. So, yeah, give Nancy back to her family. It's just, it's sad. This whole situation with Savannah, the heartbreak of her thinking that this could be her fault. Good gracious. Can you imagine that kind of weight on your shoulders where you think this is your fault? I don't know. I just can't imagine that. I really can't. That's got to be heartbreaking. Yeah, but sometimes you have to force people. Nah, we don't force people around here. you know? Could there have been other things that could have, you know, we believe in independence. We believe in valuing and respecting other people's wishes for their body, especially when they're of sound mind. Okay, this lady was of sound mind. You know, when they're no longer thinking clearly, then yeah, you can step in. But if somebody's of sound mind and they want to do something, I think it's absolutely bad to force them to do something that they don't want to do. Like I don't know. I just think it's hard. It's tough. It's a tough decision. It's a tough conversation to have with your aging parent. But sometimes it's one of those things, well, we'll try it your way, and then if it gets too tough, we have to try it our way, you know, type of thing. So, yeah, but no, it's not. But that's not, in all fairness, that is not her fault. Had this masked gunman not gone into her house, she would still be living and thriving just fine. You know, I mean, it's not at anything that she did. And elderly people shouldn't be forced to go live with their children because there's masked gunmen that show up at one person's house. So I mean, I get the argument. I really do. I don't want to, you know, get into back and forth or anything like that. I get the argument, but it's better in theory than in practice. That's all I'm trying to convey, you know. It's better in theory than in practice, but it's hard to force somebody to do something, and sometimes when a parent does not want to do it, you just got to make adjustments, like buy a house closer to them so you can get there quicker and go by and check on them more often, and just make some modifications in your daily life. But it's hard because had this masked gunman never gone into her house, she would still be thriving independently without being a burden to her family. That's the biggest thing. Listen, I used to sell insurance. My clientele was retirees. That's who I targeted. I started with my door opener, which is a T65. That means they're turning 65. They need to get some information about their Medicare, you know, what Medicare is going to cover, you know, Part A, Part B, what is Part C, what is Part D, when do they need to do all these things, you know, what is their insurance, are they still working, you know, when are they planning on retiring. Then we start talking about, you know, home care, home health care, long-term care policies. We start getting them. And what are those home health care, and long-term care policies for? To keep them in their home longer. Why? Because the biggest and number one issue that my clients always told me about is they don't want to be a burden to their family. The reason why I was able to sell those policies is because this helped keep people in their home longer. So that was the biggest thing. They did not want to be a burden to their family. They didn't want to have to go live with their children. They wanted to be able to thrive and live in their home as long as possible and not have to go to a nursing home. So, you know, those home health care policies brought home health care right into your home to help take care of you, so you don't have to go to an ALF. So there's just a lot of things that you can put in place, but the biggest part, and that's why I'm saying, you know, I've dealt with elderly people. I know what their wishes are because 90% of my clientele was over 65. Now this was many years ago, but I can't think the mentality of you know, turning 65 and older people has changed much. You know, they want to feel like they can cut a rug until they're 95. You know, one foot on a banana peel and the other foot in the grave. They don't want you monkeying with their life. I'm sorry. If somebody's over the age of 65, call me a liar. I'll wait, because you know I'm right. You guys are stubborn assholes. You guys want your independence. You don't want nobody like me telling you what to do. Everybody all worried about, you know, charges and stuff. Let one of those kids try to come take mama out the house. You're going to have a very grumpy grandma that's going to be getting battery charges for whipping her kids' asses. I'm just saying. Don't touch me. Nobody wants to admit they're 65 and older in the chat. That's the problem. Just joking. just joking. I'm just joking. But we don't. Our parents don't want to be up our butts. Okay, I'm sorry. They didn't even want us when we were kids, right? They kept throwing us out of the house and telling us to get out of their house and play. Go find something to do. They didn't even want us way back then. Now they're older, stubborn, set in their ways. Do you really think they want to be cleaning our toilets all over again? Because it's PTSD when it comes to their children. I'm just saying. They're like, I remember changing them diapers. Nope. Nope. I'm over 65. Just my girls. All right. Well, do you want to go live with your daughter or son? I'm just asking. You want to go camp out with them? You finally get them out of your hair and out of your house, and now it's like, well, it's time to retire. Oh, got to go live with the kids. Says nobody ever. Says nobody ever. Nancy didn't need help to shower. Yeah, exactly. She didn't have anything with her her daily living, like activities of daily living. She could do everything. Yep. She could do a lot. I mean, I think of my neighbor. You let one of his kids come here and try to pull him out of that house. I'd love to see the day. Remember, he's got loaded guns in the house. I'm just telling you, youngins. I'm just telling you. You can if you want to. I'm 70 years young. Well, God bless you. So I live my two girls. My son lives next door. Just my girls. It's like, nope, I'm enjoying this. I've been wiping their asses for their upbringing. Now it's time for them to take care of mama. So she's like, nope, I'm getting it. I'm getting my money's worth. Well, good for you. She's a smart one. Most of them won't do that. Most of them are like, the hell, I can't even stand my kids. Actually, it's not even the kids they can't stand. I can't stand that woman. That woman he married, man, she's just rotten. She's just rotten, they say. Oh, good gracious. All right, guys. Well, that's what we have. It's a little bit melancholy. Let's be honest with you. This is awful. This was a tearjerker. We did get some good information. What does it mean? It's like every time we get a little bit more information about this case, it just puts us in a different, like, what the hell? This feels so personal, but everybody in this woman's life appears to be cleared. Nancy Grace, actually, let's go. We're not even done yet. Let's keep going. Don't leave yet. We got some stuff that we were going to go over. Don't leave yet, because I'm not going to do this. Maybe I should. I think we need to kill it here. Let's kill it here. We'll come back. So tonight, we're going to come back. We're going to do Nancy Grace. We're going to go over the bombshell information about the open permit with the electrical, just so that everybody look who it is. Hey, Sasha. It's nice to see you, love. So that everybody can see the Nancy Grace show about the electrician. We'll do that tonight. We'll probably do that tonight. I don't know. Maybe 9 o'clock. I think 9 o'clock will be good. It'll give me some downtime. If you guys know anything about me, my rest has kind of sucked. So I need to kind of push myself to stay awake, because if I go to sleep early again, like I've been doing all week, I'm going to be getting up at frickin' the butt crack of dawn. And I'm sick of the butt crack, okay? I don't mind the crack, but the butt crack, it's got to go, okay? It's got to go. We were rolling out of here with our first show at 5 a.m., and actually it was before 5 a.m. when I started the show, okay? So we've got to do something with that. So I'm going to try to do a later show tonight to force me up later, so I can try to reset some of that internal clock. But we're going to go over that. And I think we need to, because we were going over a lot of different things of what it could be, especially after we ran the story on Nancy Woodrum. When we ran the story on Nancy Woodrum, it kind of blew the top off for ideas of who this could be. And we started looking and focusing on contractors, not just contractors at Nancy's or known to Nancy, but potentially the neighbors, somebody that just happened to drive by and see her or see her house. It could be anyone. And now we're hearing about an electrician, an open permit for electrical work. And I'm sitting there saying, whoa, because we've talked about the possibility of somebody, being electrically inclined, how they took something back and pulled it. And the reason why I said it's because when you're an electrician, you have wire. I have seen people use wire to remove something, especially something that is connected to a hot wire and they need to move the connection so they're not electrocuted. They use something that doesn't have anything to pull the current. Now, could he have done that with the camera? Possibly, because maybe he doesn't know whether the camera's hot wired or not. Now, you're not going to get a big shock from whatever wire is hooked into a camera at all. It's not like a 110 or a 220. So you're not looking at dying. You're looking at, and I don't even think you can get shocked. But either way, it's because I've seen electricians do that to release something. And they've used something else, like an insulated wire, because they didn't have their tool pouch or a tool to use, and they just get it and pull it. There was something about that behavior, that activity that really, kind of had something that I've seen previously when I was a kid. And so we had talked about it being somebody that was associated with phone lines, cable lines, internet lines, and electrical. And those were some of the things that we discussed because of the utility box potentially being damaged. So that's kind of where we are when it comes to this suspect. Is it electrician? Does that open electrical permit? Is that a telltale sign? Is that a clue? Is that a lead? I don't know, but we are going to talk about it. We'll talk about it tonight around 9 p.m. here on the Bullhorn Betty Show. I might drop a video or two today because it's just now becoming noon. So, we're talking about 9 hours away for our next show. So I'll try to get some updated videos out. I don't know if the videos will be about Nancy Guthrie per se, maybe some updated breaking news that we haven't gotten just yet. There has been some disturbing news that I cannot cover that I know that several of you guys sent to me. It is entirely too graphic for our show for YouTube. YouTube will never let us run that story. Do I think that's fair? No, I don't. I think that news should be protected and we should be able to talk about the atrocities in this country. But because of the age of the victim and because of what the mother did to this victim at this age, we could never cover this on the show. There's no way to talk about that case because the elements of that case to explain it are so graphic. The only people that are going to be able to run that story is the news. You're not going to find anybody on YouTube running that story. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just leaving it at that. You're just going to have to be in a mystery for those that know what I'm talking about and know that we're talking about a baby and we're talking about graphic and deceased and so those are all the words that I'm going to be able to use here on YouTube. But I cannot run that story. I just cannot run that story. It's sad. Construction, electrical. Yeah, Sasha. Let's not forget the construction site is a direct line of sight from her patio and driveway. All right. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. Oh, and please don't forget, if you are on the replay crew and you made it this far into the show, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't already subscribed to our show, please consider hitting that subscribe button. But more importantly, if you could help hype this video, there should be a way just to swipe on over and it says hype this, and you just click hype, and that's what you do. So please consider hyping this video. We just wanted to go through some of the statements, bombshell information, tearjerker, emotional. Everything that makes these cases tough was exhibited today in this show. So God bless you. We will talk to you soon.